Alright, welcome back to Flight Sim 2020, and in today's video we are back in the JustFlight BAE 146. We're parked here on the ramp at Skukuza, and we've got a bit of a challenging flight today because we're operating a charter for Airlink from Skukuza down to Pietermaritzburg in KZN. However, KwaZulu-Natal at the moment has pretty bad weather. There's storms and rain scattered all over, and if we look out this way we can already see up here in the north of South Africa there's storms scattered throughout the country at the moment. The reason why that's a problem is Pietermaritzburg doesn't have any ILS. There are RNAV approaches, but we cannot do RNAV in this aircraft because we're going old school and we're doing VOR only. So we have no FMS, we have no modern navigation as such. So we've taken some extra fuel because Pietermaritzburg is a pretty difficult airport to get into, particularly when there's low cloud and when there's storms around. So we are expecting that we may have to hold, see if the weather improves, and we're possibly going to divert. So our first alternate is Durban King Sharka, which does have an ILS, but the weather there is also pretty shocking. So if that doesn't work, we have enough fuel to take us all the way back, not to Skukuza, but to Johannesburg. So that's the plan for today. We'll see if we can, first of all, manage to navigate via VOR all the way down from Skukuza to Pietermaritzburg, and then if we can actually get into the airport when we get there. So that's the plan for today's flight. And just as we're about to start, you're probably going to hear the rain because I am in South Africa and it is actually storming all over the place. So apologies if there is some rain in the background and some thunder as well. But let's jump aboard and start getting things set up. So the first thing we're going to do is we just need to double check that the weather radar is off, and then we tilt it all the way up as well, like so. Make sure that our transponder is set to standby, which it is. We'll double check flaps, throttle position and gear lever, which is all good, and spoilers as well. Right, we can now start getting power to the aircraft, so we can turn on the batteries and double check that we have a minimum of 24 volts. So let's dial this one to battery, and this dial actually goes backwards. So yeah, we're almost at 30, so about 28-ish. I can check battery 2 as well, and they're both pretty much the same, so we're good to go there. Okay, let's turn on the navigation lights. So for that we come up here, we'll turn those to high intensity, and then let's come down, check the parking brake, set to yellow, and it is engaged, which it is. Okay, what we're actually going to do now is start getting the passengers on board. So we're using PACX for that, and we can see that the weather, does it feel like it's getting closer? Not really, but we're going to be flying over that for sure. Cool, passengers are now boarding. Let's now come up top. No, we actually want to do this one. Yaw damper, autopilot, and avionics can come on. Let's set the anti-skid to on and the brake fans to auto. And then lift spoilers, yellow and green, we can turn on. Right, coming down a bit, we can set bus tire switches to auto, arm the standby generators. Standby inverter and standby generator. And then we will also make sure that these are set to off and the APU is set to on, because we're going to start that now. Left inner fuel pump can come on for the APU, and we can fire up the APU by pressing start. And we'll see that RPM is coming up, temperature is coming up as well. Cool, and that's stable. So let's turn on the APU air, and we'll turn on packs 1 and 2 to get some. Actually, we should turn on one pack to get air from the APU into the cabin. Right, now we can come down here and test the MWS. So we push that all the way in and check that everything illuminates. Not up there, just down here. That all looks good. Right, and then we can pop it back out to the middle position with the red light out. Okay, and then we need to just cancel that like so. Cool. Okay, now we can do some ground tests. So engine overspeeds. So it shows up over there. Okay, we won't do the APU tests because that will switch off the APU. So the other ones we can do is smoke. Stall warnings. Pretty intense. We want to do anti-skid. Where is that? There we go. Horn test. That's the gear horn. And then the last one we want to do is flap safety. Okay, so those tests are done. Now what we need to do is switch on the engine anti-ice switches. We will arm the emergency lights. We can come up here. Put on the no smoking signs, arm the cabin emergency lights, and then we also want to do fasten seatbelts. Okay, now we'll come down here, engage the yaw dampers. Alright, so that's checked. Test our oxygen. And then let's come down here and actually set our weight and balance properly. So fuel for today. We are taking 4,200 kgs.
On behalf of the cabin crew, I'd like to welcome you aboard our flight. As you find
like so. And zero fuel weight is 32.2 tons.
If you have trouble finding a location for any of your carry-on items, please use the flight attendant call button over your seat.
Cool.
Somebody will assist you. If the overhead bin is full after you put your carry-on inside of it, please close the bin as a courtesy to other passengers. Once all your items are put away, please clear the aisle and sit down in your seat to allow other passengers to find their seats as well. If you are seated in an emergency exit row, please read the exit seating responsibilities in the safety card in the seat back in front of you. Please make sure you are willing and able to perform the actions required. If you are not able or prefer not to perform these actions, please let a flight attendant know so you can be reseated. Now's the time to get out any last-minute text messages if you need to, but we ask that once you depart from the gate, you put away any laptops or tablets. Thank you, and welcome aboard.
Okay, let's set our center tank to transfer. We can turn on all the fuel pumps now because the fuel is loaded. And we need to go check pressurization is set to auto. And our cruise altitude today is 26,000 feet. Sorry, 28,000 feet, which is that one there. Can you actually dial this up to 30? No, it goes to 29. Right, like so. Right, then we'll turn ice detect on. Let's come down here to this guy. We can press this to put in our call sign. Okay, call sign for today is set. Okay, let's come down here and set this guy for takeoff. So we'll turn it on for now, and then we can click test and let it go through and test everything. Okay, temperature outside is 22 degrees, so we'll dial this up to, let's do 30 for takeoff. Press the takeoff button, and then we can click over here to set our bugs. Dial this down to about 640, which we'll use in the cruise, and we'll adjust that as we need. Okay, flaps 18 takeoff gives us 123 knots as our rotation speed. Let's double check that that is set, and it is, which is all cool. Right, then we need to come over here and turn this guy on, because we're doing VOR navigation today. So our first VOR is Kruger and Mpumalanga, which is Papa Kilo Victor 112.5. And our second one is Matsapa, which is 112.3. Okay, so that is set. Okay, what we'll actually do, because we just kind of want to go direct, so we'll just dial our course in to kind of point straight towards it when we take off, which is gonna be somewhere here-ish. It's probably more... Oh right, actually we are taking off. Let's come down here. Which runway are we departing from? We're departing runway 35, so we're taking off to the north. So that's gonna be there, so we're kind of going to be in this region
We're
somewhere.
ready to go when you are.
But we'll dial that in
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome
properly
aboard
once
flight
we make our turn.
1324. Our flight time will be roughly 53 minutes. Now that the cabin door is closed, please make sure that all devices are in airplane mode and your large devices are now shut down and stowed. Please fasten your seatbelt and make sure that all tray tables and seat backs are in a full upright and locked position for departure. Flight attendants, please prepare cabin for departure and cross-check.
Okay, we're going straight up to 28,000. So we can arm that. Oh right, first we need flight directors. And now we can arm that. And what I'm going to do is set 112.3 over here. Let's turn that on just so we can see when that shows up over there as well, when it, so we know it's in range. We've already got Kruger and Mpumalanga on. It's 36 nautical miles away. And then we're gonna go heading mode. I think, yeah, that's probably gonna be easier. So we'll do heading mode and we'll dial this into about 350. And we'll just tweak that once we're on the runway as well. Okay, let's come down here and just get everything closed up. Right, we're gonna need some hydraulics for that. I think it's the AC pump. There we go. Right, then we can close the door and release the chocks as well.
Cabin crew, arm yours and cross-check.
And we'll just turn these guys off again. Right, now we're pretty much good to go and start up our engines. Okay, so seatbelt sign is on. We can turn on the beacon lights, which we're gonna come up here, turn that on. Right, then we will turn the start master on, set that to engine 4 first. That's in normal. And fuel pumps we've already turned on. Anti-ice is on. So let's go and hit start. And then we'll come down here. And you've got to kind of get behind here. Once that passes 10, we can introduce the fuel.
Ladies and gentlemen, please direct your complete attention to the flight attendants as they demonstrate the safety features of our aircraft. You will notice a light illuminated above your seat. When this light is illuminated, please fasten your seatbelt low and tight across your lap. To fasten, insert the metal fittings into one another and tighten by pulling on the loose end of the strap. To release your seatbelt, lift the upper portion of the buckle. We suggest that you keep your seatbelt fastened throughout the flight as you may experience unexpected turbulence. There are several
we'll do the
emergency
same
exits on this
for
aircraft.
the other 3
With the
engines.
emergency exits on this aircraft, please refer to the safety card in the seat back pocket in front of you. In some cases, your nearest exit might be behind you. If we need to evacuate the aircraft, seats are sliding on the floor to guide you towards the exit. In the event of a loss of cabin pressure, an oxygen mask will drop in front of you. Start the flow of oxygen, pull the mask towards you, and place it firmly over your nose and mouth. Secure the elastic band behind your head and tightly strap if necessary. And don't worry if the bag doesn't inflate, oxygen is flowing to the mask and you can breathe normally. If you're traveling with children, now's the time to take your favorite one, but secure your mask and then assist others. Keep your mask on until a member of the crew advises you it's safe to remove it. In the unlikely event of a water landing, a life vest is located in a pouch under your seat or between the armrests. When instructed to do so, open the plastic pouch and remove the vest. Flip it over your head. Wrap the straps around your waist and buckle at the front. pull the strap to tighten. To inflate the vest, pull firmly on the ready cord only when exiting aircraft. If your life vest does not inflate automatically, blow into the mouthpieces for manual inflation. Each vest is equipped with a whistle and light. If necessary, your seat cushion can be used as a secondary flotation device. Pull the cushion from the seat, slip your arms into the strap, and hug the cushion to your chest. Please securely stow your personal items. Make sure your seatbelts are fastened and seat backs and tray tables are in their full upright position. We remind you that this is a non-smoking flight. Tampering with, disabling, or destroying the smoke detectors located in the lavatories is prohibited by law. All of this information and more can be found in the safety card located in the seat back in front of you. We suggest reading this and let us know if you have any questions. Thank you for flying with us, and we hope you enjoy your flight.
Okay, all 4 engines are now stable, so we can turn on the generators and we can turn on our ice protection. We're not expecting icing conditions for takeoff, so we'll turn those off. This goes back to off, and start master goes back to off as well. And we can turn on the second pack now. Then we can come up here, turn on the hydraulic pumps, and just verify that the pressure comes up to 3000. Right, brake fans are on auto. And then we are pretty much good to taxi. So before we do that, let's just come down here and turn on the taxi lights. Set the flaps to 18. Right, because it's such a short taxi, we're literally just going over there. Let's go through any before takeoff stuff that we have to do, except for the lights. So flaps are set. TMS is in takeoff mode. And MWS, everything is off. Cool. Let's release the parking brake. And start our very short taxi to runway 35. Okay, let's turn on the landing lights and we'll turn on the strobes as well. I'm actually happy we're departing to the north because it gives us a bit of time to climb before we have to go over that stuff. So we have more chance of going over rather than through it.
Cabin is secure, ready for departure.
Okay, cabin's good to go. Let's just tweak our heading mode. Right, release the parking brake, and we can advance the throttles until our TMS takes over. There we go. Power set. Okay, so 230 on our course is actually perfect. Okay, so we'll intercept that VOR radial. We're looking for 210 knots. And then we'll go IAS. Flaps are coming up. Okay, let's engage IAS mode. We'll start pitching up nicely now. We want about 88% path throttles, which is pretty much bang on. And again, just keeping an eye on that radial, so once that starts closing up, we can switch over to our VOR mode. Okay, what we can do quickly is turn on the engine air, turn off the APU, APU air, and then turn off the APU itself. We should be lining up with that for that VOR shortly. Okay, the other thing we'll do while we keep an eye on that is set standard. And we're actually picking up our second VOR station already, which is cool. Okay, I'm going to bump this over a little bit so we can get onto that intercept heading. Looks like we're starting to pass over the rainy section. Coming up to 10,000 feet as well.
Gentlemen, we have now passed house larger portable electronic devices.
Okay, we'll turn off the landing lights.
Also, reminders to keep your seatbelt fastened throughout the duration of the flight. Not
We'll
form a
switch
line
over
to
to
the
vertical
left.
speed. And at the same time, we'll switch over to our VOR. Okay, we'll wait for that to stabilize, and then we'll just use the sync feature to bring down our vertical speed. So we'll press the sync button and push the nose down a bit. Bring our vertical speed down to kind of just over 500. Press the sync button again. The autopilot will reconnect, and now we should start speeding up, and we'll go back to IAS at about 250 knots. Okay, our course from Kruger and Mpumalanga Airport, or it's actually the VOR, to the next VOR, which is Matsapa, is 190 degrees. So let's go and dial that in. And the frequency is already set. So then once we get a bit closer, we can just flip this over. Okay, coming up to 250 knots now. Which is about there. Let's go IAS again. Okay, just over 10.5 miles to go to Kruger and Mpumalanga. And we'll just double check. It should be about 70 nautical miles to Matsapa when we hit the Kruger VOR. Weather seems to be building a little bit more out there. It's raining out that way, which we're going to turn into, because we're going to turn that way shortly. We're okay for now. I'm leaving the seatbelt signs on, just in case. Okay, let's go heading mode, because it seems like this actually isn't giving us the reading that we want. It's not, which is brilliant. So we're gonna have to go heading mode like this. Okay, so it's giving us distance, but it's not actually giving us a radial. So distance only, no direction, but that's okay, because we made our turn pretty much perfectly over the Kruger Airport, so we can just use that heading. And what we'll do is dial in our next one. The other thing we can do is there's another beacon just next to it that we can put in as well. It's an ADF beacon. I probably should have turned these on. It's not that. So we can put this in for safety. So that is 2625. Here, if we flip this over to ADF, we should see when we pick that up. Right, what we'll do in the meantime then is flip these over. And we can put this back because we're actually not following that anymore. But we will dial this down to 190. Okay, and then our next VOR is actually, let's keep it like this, and we'll put in the next one here. So we'll do course of 215, and it is 113.5. So that's nice and easy. Can flip that over, see when we pick that up. That one's quite far. It's 162 miles from this beacon, so it's over 200 miles at the moment. So it's probably going to be a while before we pick that one up. Right, we need to give a little bit extra power here so we can finish climbing up to 280. It's definitely raining out there because there's a rainbow. Yeah, you can see the rain under that sheet of cloud there. Okay, otherwise all looking good, but we're definitely going to be going through that weather. I wonder if we should maybe... Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to try and go around it here. Okay, we're picking up that beacon so we can use that for direction if we need to get back onto course later on. don't actually know if the weather radar on this aircraft works. I think I have tested and for some reason I thought it didn't. But let's see. So if we put this to weather, it doesn't appear to be doing anything. Okay, but we're gonna skirt along the side of that storm. We have an ice detection warning. Don't see any ice on the airframe. It's starting to get bumpy already. The next question is, can we even get around this? Is this going to extend? Because I actually thought that was the edge, and now there's definitely more along there. So maybe we can't even get around it. Okay, no, I was just going to say no ice detection, but there it is again. We were kind of just on the edge here. I think we're okay. It is starting to look like there may be a way to go around this. And we're not going to get back on track to Matsapa because we're kind of almost passing that. Yeah, I mean, in fact, it's back that way already. So as soon as we can, we're going to want to turn left. Still slowly climbing up to 28,000. Okay, that sound means we're 1,000 feet away from top of climb. I think we can gradually start a bit of a turn to the left here. Ever so slowly. There we are at our cruise altitude. Okay, so I'm thinking what we're going to do is just keep edging to the left here. Once we pick up that Greytown VOR, that's where we're going to go. So we can actually flip this back so we're on nav 1. Once we pick that up, we're going to pretty much head straight towards that, obviously considering the weather. other thing we could do is we're pretty much heading currently directly towards the Ladysmith. We could pick up that VOR. Let's see if we put that on nav 2, so that's 1165. And we do pick that up, and we're pretty much heading straight towards it. Okay, we'll keep that there for reference. I think we're still going to try head to Greytown because it's going to be easier to actually get to Maritzburg from Greytown because it's closer. Oh, there we go. We just picked up the Greytown VOR. Little hazy here, we're just on the edge again. We're actually below this layer. So you can see Greytown is more off to our left still, so I think it's still a bit risky to go off that way. We'll give it a bit more time before we just head directly to that VOR, because it looks quite dark underneath there. The funny thing is, this is still the easy part. If we manage to actually get all the way down to Greytown, we still got to somehow try and get into Pietermaritzburg Airport. That's going to be the tricky part. And if it looks anything like it does here, down there, I think we're going to be going to Durban. I mean, if it looks like this in front of us, we'll be fine. But if it looks like that, there's no chance. what I'm actually going to do is come down here and set this to 670 should be good. So we can actually bring that speed back a bit. Let's do 660 for now. Set that to target and let the TMS manage our throttles and just keep us at that constant throttle setting. Okay, it's looking more hazy but less rainy. Those are technical terms, by the way. So we'll see if we can get into Greytown. I think we might be able to turn more there. That doesn't look so dark and rough as it does in there. I mean, we can feel it is a little bumpy. But I think we're going to have to deal with some of that at some point to get through. Okay, let's get back onto a 190 course then and pick that up towards Greytown and see how things go from there. We can bump the speed up a little bit. We want to be around like 0.7. So let's dial that up to 70. Yeah, I don't know if we want to turn into that, to be honest. Let's maybe give this a little bit more. And we'll see. I mean, at that point, I think we kind of have to just go for it and see if we can get through. Okay, let's give this a try and see how it goes. Okay, it seems alright for now, and the visibility is getting worse, but that's to be expected, I guess. Okay, so we're now 46 miles out from Greytown. Right, let's put in the Pietermaritzburg VOR, which is 1179. Because we're going to shortly have to start descending. So that's 70 miles, so we should probably start our descent, which is going to make things a bit worse. Right, so this is where we're going. Not much to speak about, but we're arriving runway 16, which I think is more difficult to get into. But that's about it, and we're going to turn around at the end and then taxi back. Right, let's start our descent here. I just want to check on the chart though. MDA. Okay, so for that sector, we can go down to 8,200. But that is because there are some mountains north of Pietermaritzburg, so we're going to have to descend below that afterwards. But anyway, that's what we'll do for now. Oh wow, yeah, we're going into There's something not good here. We're going to put on the anti-ice now. This looks like it's gonna go badly. It's just a complete wall along there. I don't know if in real life you would even consider flying into this. I don't have a weather radar. It does not appear to be doing anything. Okay, a bit of rain, but nothing too serious at the moment, but there's no ways we're going to see the airport. Okay, we're coming up to Greytown now. Okay, because now what we need to do is look for Albert Falls Dam, which is going to be just off to that side somewhere. There are some gaps in places. I mean, with no procedure, I just don't see it happening. To go a little bit more to the right. Okay, let's go vertical speed. Bring that up a bit, so we need to start slowing down. Okay, what I'm going to do is put in here 115.6, which is the King Shark VOR in Durban, because I think that's where we're going to end up. So I'm not entirely familiar with how this would actually work in terms of real-world ops pose. Technically, we would be IFR, so at this point, the controllers would be vectoring us in. But then, because there's no procedures into the airport, at some point we would have to be visual. And I don't think we can descend below 8,200 feet until we are visual. But there's Albert Falls up ahead, which is a good sign. If we can get under this layer of clouds, we might actually be okay. Okay, let's set local QNH 1024. I'm going to go down to about 210 knots. Oh, sorry, that's not Albert Falls. That's Albert Falls. That's Midmar. Which means we're going to start turning left shortly. We get a bit of speed brake out because I want us to get down a bit quicker. Because once we get below these clouds, we might be okay. It looks terrible over there, which is kind of just towards the airport, but more towards the east. Okay, there's about 210 knots. Okay, we don't need to dive so crazy.
We have begun our final descent into your destination. Flight attendants will be passing through the cabin to select any crash one final time. Please ensure tray tables are stowed and seats are in a full upright position. Please also store any carry-on items either in the seat back pocket or under the seat structure.
Airport elevation is 2,500 feet and we can only go to 8,000. I don't think that's going to work too well. Right, that road there, that's the main highway into Maritzburg. So we should be turning left fairly soon. Now the VOR doesn't line us up with the runway or anything. It's just to help us head towards the airport. We're gonna have to be visual. And I don't think 8,200 feet is low enough to clear these clouds. We're gonna be smack bang in the middle of them. Okay, we are visual with the ground, which means we can descend. Let's dial this down to 5,000 then. Or we'll do, it's 2.5 plus 2, so 4.5. I think we're going to be too high. We should have been much lower by now. So I can't see the airport yet, but we're going to be far too high. Yeah, now I see the runway, but yeah, we're too high. So let's do a bit of an orbit. Do a right-hand orbit here to stay out of the clouds. That kind of does put us into the terrain though. Highest peak here is 4,700 feet. Which is off to our right.
2,500.
Yeah, so we're not going to be able to turn more right here. Oops. Mustn't forget that we don't have auto throttle. Okay, I think we might actually have a chance of getting in here. All the rain is that side to the east. We're pretty much going to fly over the airport here.
2,500.
Okay. The airport should be coming up here somewhere. There's the runway dead ahead.
$2,500.
Going into the rain, but the visibility is okay. Right, we're going to have to do this visual. we just want to stay out of these clouds. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Gonna come around again, we just need to be much lower. There's the airport. So the issue is I wanted to extend further out, but because of the weather we can't really. Well, it's the weather and the terrain both limiting here. Okay, I'm gonna level off at 4,000. Getting a little bumpy. Okay, let's get some flaps in here. I'm gonna go all the way to that ridge as far as we can before the weather kicks in. Try and extend this as much as possible. We're flaps 15. It's gonna start bringing the speed down quite quickly. Okay, these clouds seem a little bit further out. Or maybe it's just because we're slower. I think I said flaps 15, I meant 18. Right, I think we kind of need to make this turn now. And we're going to start bleeding off the altitude. Let's take the gear and the next stage of flaps as well. Get configured nice and early. have the runway in sight. I think we're still a little high. Okay, we are a little high, but we can make this work. It's not the best. It's not very professional. I think we can get it right. The weather's actually getting better. Oh, I don't know. Now we're very high. Okay, we've got some extra runway to play with anyway, so we should be fine. Yeah, we got this.
30, 20, 10.
Sure, well, there we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached our destination. The local time is 4:17 p.m. and it's currently about 15 degrees Celsius. You can now use your mobile devices. Please remain seated until the aircraft has come to a complete stop and the seatbelt sign is turned off. Remember to use caution when opening the overhead bins as items may have shifted during the flight. We thank you for flying with us and we hope to see you again soon.
Okay, what warning have we got here? Is it about the ice? Yeah. Okay, I don't know how professional that approach was. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was pretty bad. But we made it in, which I wasn't expecting. As you can see, I've already dialed in Durban's frequency because I thought that's where we would go, where we were going to actually go. But no, the weather's actually getting better here. The visibility, at least, is getting better. It's moving off to the east. So yeah, pretty challenging, pretty interesting. Not having a procedure to follow is clearly not something I do pretty much ever. So very interesting. Right, let's fire up the APU. I've got to do more flights into this airport and get better at visual approaches in airliners. Too spoiled with flying into airports with ILS and RNAV procedures and all of that. And this airport used to have a non-RNAV, very tricky instrument approach, but I see that's no longer in use. It's only RNAV now because it used to be these aircrafts, the BAEs and the RJs used to fly in here, and then the Jetstreams as well, the Jetstream 41s. But now it's the Embraers, the ERJ 145s. Can those do RNAV? I don't actually know. Let's just turn off the landing lights and the strobes. And these guys, the Embraer 190s. I think it's actually the 175s that fly in here. there wouldn't actually be one on the stand when we were coming in now, so that's the thing. And I'm pretty sure the Embraers can do RNAV, so now there's only an RNAV procedure. But I remember, I must actually see if I can dig up an old chart with that old instrument procedure, because it was a tough one. Right, and then you stop right here, and the passengers walk straight into the terminal. Set the parking brake. Let's go APU air. Turn off the engine A. That's about it. And then we can shut down the engines. Just want to pull up our procedures. Okay, what we should also have done sooner was, even though this doesn't work, let's turn that off. And that's fine, that's already in standby. Then we can go ahead and shut down all 4 engines.
Doors to manual and cross check.
Yeah, let's push this. Oops. I want to pull it out. Okay, let's turn off the engine hydraulic pumps, but we're going to turn these on so we can get the air stairs down. I think we'll let the passengers disembark. And we could turn off the beacon lights. Cool. The stairs are out. So let's get this off again. And oh, the other thing we'll do is turn off these generators. And we can switch off the seatbelt signs. Right, then all of these guys can come off. Same with the ice detection. And in reality, we wouldn't stay here. We would be continuing on back to Johannesburg generally. Wow, we're very close to that pole. I don't think there's, I'm pretty sure there's not a pole there in real life like that. Can't remember. Anyway, that is going to bring us to the end of this flight. Quite an interesting one. Maybe something that needs a bit of practice, but very, very fun, very challenging, different from the normal advanced procedures that we get in the advanced airliners that I'm used to flying. So something a little different, something nice and challenging. But anyway, that's going to bring us to the end of the video. If you made it all the way to this point, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, you know what to do down below, and I'll see you in the next one.